I was so surprised the other day when I was on my way to work and I was in the Uber car and they asked me what I did. And I said, I work in research. And the Uber driver asked me, have you ever heard of peptides? I was amazed. So that tells you peptides are being talked about everywhere. So let's talk about them here. Why don't we? Because what's the safety and what's the information that's out there that's realistic when we think about peptides? And not everything you hear is something that you can believe when you hear it on the internet. So I'm MC. I've done over 30 years of research in the medical field of neurology. And basically, I bring a curiosity about our wellness and health as we're aging. Because guess what? That's what I'm doing. I'm aging just like you, except I'm much older. And I want us to be healthy well into our 80s and 90s. So why don't you join me here? Think about subscribing to Healthy by George. Click the like button or share, and let's talk about peptides and whether it's something you should explore after the age of 50. So I think, first of all, what are peptides? When I look at my information here, it says that they're simple versions of short chain amino acids. Our body makes peptides naturally. And so it's basically the building blocks of everything in our body, our hormones, our collagen, our enzymes. They're like a tiny molecule that has messengers in it, and it tells our cells what to do. The big question is, are peptides useful for us as a supplement? And sometimes they really are. A lot of people like Wegovy and Ozempic and a Mounjaro, these are types of peptides that are medically prescribed. They've been well tested. They have side effects. Don't forget, everything has a side effect, believe me. And so the truth is, what do we want to know about peptides that people are talking about in the world on the internet? Are they something that we should use? Because there are three types of peptides that we can think about. They're in the skincare world, they're in the supplement world, and then they're in these injectable worlds, which something has its pluses and minuses. So I'm going to walk you all through these three areas so that we can talk about them. So let's talk about the ones that actually have real evidence behind them. I'm going to be honest about where the evidence is strong and where it's just so. Oral collagen peptides, there is the most studied about this for people our age, that there is good evidence that is genuinely encouraging. There have been a lot of human studies, not just in animals, that have shown that oral collagen peptides have a meaningful ability to make our skin more elastic and more hydrated or plump. And guess what? As we get older, we want that, right? So we have less wrinkles. So there is a very good evidence that there is useful for oral collagen peptides because they can help us with our joints. They can help us with arthritis or chronic pain. So there is a benefit because it can assist with bone density as well as hydrating our skin. It's one of the hardest things, I think, is to stay hydrated as we get older. So when you're thinking about purchasing oral collagen, think about a hydrolyzed collagen or collagen peptides. Those are on the label and that they can be broken down into your body in an easy way and actually absorbed. Specific brands like Verisol and Peptan have been clinically backed. You can investigate them because truthfully, when you look at supplements that you're going to be purchasing, and these things are not cheap, I recommend that you look at what's in the contents of all of these and make sure that you get something that is third-party tested. The other peptide that I believe has great benefit is creatine. We don't talk enough about creatine for over 50. And I believe that it is underused, it's underpromoted. There is good research out there that creatine is a wonderful product for our bodies. It's a precursor of a peptide. And so what it has is it has the ability to really help us with muscle mass, preservation. It helps us with healthy aging. It helps us with cognition. And the research that's coming out there really is quite relevant to us as we get older. So creatine, again, is something that you should be curious about, and you should look into as to why creatine is important. The other one is our GLP-1 drugs. We've heard all about those. Wegovy, Ozempic, I'm on Mounjaro. Truthfully, we don't really understand the great benefits that we're going to see with the GLP-1 drugs, these peptides. I'm seeing a benefit by weight loss, but I also am seeing some benefit through just overall health. I'm feeling more clear in my mind. I'm feeling more energetic. And there's also this whole wonderful world of research that's shown that there's a cardiac benefit and that there is some potential benefit to our sleep apnea that's been FDA approved. And some people are saying that it has some help in the addiction world. So, GLP-1 drugs are a type of peptide that truly is going to have a much further evidence based in research than any other drug, because guess what? You're prescribed this by a doctor. You are closely monitored by a doctor. Now, granted, I don't think you should go for any access to these drugs. There are some charlatans out there, but you should go with a reputable company if you're doing one online, because the compound pharmacies can be a little tricky. And also, if you're drawing the drug up into a syringe, can be a little tricky as well. Some people have underdosed and overdosed because it can be a little difficult. GLP-1 drugs, that we know that these are something that are prescribed. They've been well studied. Yes, there are downsides to them. Without a doubt, the side effects are there. Nausea, upset stomachs, and constipation or diarrhea. All of these things are very much there. But to me, for myself and my own benefit, the benefit outweighs the risk. And the evidence is very strong in the research. So that's why it's really not something I feel hesitant about trying. I think the area that becomes a little suspicious is the area where there is animal data and no human data. And that's where it's the supplement market. So apparently there is this rage about these drugs called BPC 157 and TB 500 and sermorelin or ipamorelin. And these are the ones that are circulating out there in all those communities, talking about longevity and talking about preserving your health. And it has this gut healing benefit and tendon repair. All of this is just something that's been seen in animals, and often that this doesn't get translated to humans. So the human data is not there. And if you want to do research on yourself, that's up to you. But I don't recommend it. I really think that you're taking a risk as an older person, because you're not the same person as someone who's 30 or 40. You're someone who's over 50, like me. And so your body is not going to behave the same way. And also, too, you may be on some medications that may give you an adverse reaction to taking these peptides. So the area of peptides that is really very challenging is the supplement area. You can go online and purchase these supplements, and frankly, they're not FDA regulated. They're really something that, to me, they're rarely a pharmaceutical grade. That means it's unclear what really are the ingredients. Also, what are the manufacturing procedures in these processes of getting these supplements out there in the world? There are cases of contamination, and you don't know what you're injecting. Would you really want to inject yourself with something unknown that could possibly cause you harm? I don't think so. And that's really what we have to remember. What's the evidence? What is it that you are really hoping to gain? What's the risk versus benefit? If you really are someone who's okay with the risk that could potentially put you in the hospital, which could happen, it's not unheard of. There are some cases, rarely, that are quite serious. And so whenever you're thinking about a supplement, you really need to think about things that are considerable. I think you have to think about what is practical and how are you empowering yourself. I think if you use a peptide for skincare, that's reasonable. There's a lot of data out there and it is very useful. But you should read the labels, see what it is that it says that its benefit is. Because some of the evidence behind this, the healthcare world of skin, is that you need a peptide that is the first ingredient on the list. It's not somewhere buried in the list. It's the price doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. You really need to understand the contents of anything that you're purchasing. I think you need to believe that the evidence is out there in humans, not just animal studies. You really understand what it is that you are taking. If you're getting something from this gray market that's been out there promoting longevity or healing, gut repair, did this come from some good evidence that was studied and that has some kind of sense of risk and benefit? I'm not sure if that was something that I would inject myself with. Peptides are not all bad. And yes, there are some reasons behind taking peptides. And I think if you listen to the Huberman Lab, they do talk about some of the issues around do you want to do the research of one? Then perhaps this is something where you do want to try one of these made peptides over the counter and give yourself an injection. But I'm not sure it's something that I would want to explore just because someone on Facebook or TikTok was promoting this. You're allowed to explore. It's up to you, but you really must understand the risk versus benefit and whether you want to do the research of one and what's the potential price that you might pay. I think in the long term, unless you're really going to dig into the science and understand the possibilities of really doing more harm than good. So please think about subscribing. This is MC of Healthy by George. I come here every week to talk about all things that will help us have a long and very, and healthy aging into our 80s and 90s. So please subscribe. Please push that like button and share. I'd love to see you here each week. And are you thinking about taking a peptide? Then think about creatine and watch this episode below. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.